Well, hey everyone, my name is Nathan Jones, and if you're new here, welcome. I talk about all things movies, specifically Blu-rays, and welcome to my film journey, where each week I have been covering the things that I've been watching and picking up, usually physical media, and I have been having a really fun blast with this as I've just been recollecting the things that I have been watching and really just kind of analyzing it through the lens of where I'm at right now. And it's been a really exciting experiment. In fact, for the past 45 weeks, you'll notice this is week 44. Week 45 will actually be tomorrow, so there's actually going to be 2 episodes this weekend. So bonus for that, but I have had quite a crazy couple of weeks in general. The week before was my birthday week, where on Friday it was my birthday, and I was able to take the day off, and also just into Memorial Weekend. And so it was a really nice weekend for me because I was able to travel up to Kansas City to go see Baroness, which is like one of my favorite metal bands from Georgia, and I'll cover that. And I was also able to pick up a few things which I'll showcase today in this episode. But this episode in particular, I want to kind of showcase the television series that I have been watching for the past few weeks, because I actually have been focusing a lot on television a little bit more. I've kind of been splicing this between my film watching, and I actually want to make this kind of a regular thing. And so it's been really fun to do that, because I'm actually watching longer content, or at least kind of digesting something, getting more of a story, as you will. But it's exciting to talk about. So today's episode will really focus on the pickups that I got for the past 2 weeks, and then also the television that I have watched, where tomorrow's episode will focus more on movies, a lot of the movies that I have watched. In fact, there's a Columbia Classics Volume 4 set that I'll be talking about, along with some folk horror and a lot of other goodness that I'm going to be talking about. But a lot of really fun things I've been doing the last few weeks in particular, and I'm excited to just share my thoughts on it. So let's jump back in time to a couple weeks ago, where I had my birthday weekend, right? And I had my birthday. I was able to go see Friendship, which I will cover right now, I guess. I was able to go to the Alamo Drafthouse and go see Friendship, which has Tim Robinson and Paul Rudd in it at the helm, an A24 film. I'm a huge fan of Paul Rudd, have been for the longest time, and have been a huge fan of Tim Robinson over the last few years, in particular as he's been growing in stature. I was able to watch I Think You Should Leave initially, and then watch Detroiters and all the other side things that he's done. It's been just a blast, because this is the type of comedy that I love. I just love absurdist, almost realistic situations of where, you know, somebody might say something internally in their head, but it actually is out loud and expressed in a Tim Robinson bit. It's kind of hard to explain, but these are like some internal thoughts that a lot of us think as we're in situations, like everyday situations, and Tim Robinson nails that to a T, and I think his absurdist humor is amazing. And so you're able to see in Friendship, in this movie, pretty much an hour plus, I think it's around 2 hours, a movie of pretty much a Tim Robinson sketch with Paul Rudd, who is an amazing actor on his own right. And I love the combination of the two. This was a really great film. In fact, I was actually a little worried it wouldn't show up in my local market. I think it was literally the day before it was supposed to set to release that I got ticket notifications on the Draft House app that I have. So it was really strange, and I was like, oh well, it's my birthday, so I already had the day off, so I'm decided to watch Friendship, and I had a blast. There was about 15-20 people in the theater. It was really early in the morning. It was 10 a.m., which is a rare thing to do on a Friday, but it was really fun watching the theater with several groups of a couple couples, couple of single guys like myself, and that part was actually really funny, because if you have been to the Alamo Drafthouse, there actually is a message that they usually put in front of the film itself. Usually it's tangentially related to it, but this time it actually was, because Tim Heidecker actually was able to warn us of shutting up during the movie, which is what I love about Alamo Drafthouse, because I don't like talking during the movies, and you shouldn't either. But regardless, he said the thing that really cackled me was, if you're here watching this movie alone, which is a movie about friendship, then you are an effing loser. So I lost my mind, and so did everybody in the entire theater. And there were just moments of that throughout the film itself. So obviously, barring that introduction, going into the film itself, that was just a splendid time watching that. This really absurd situation where Tim Robinson is pretty much unraveling in his neighborhood with his new neighbor, Paul Rudd, who kind of invites him in and becomes a really quick friend of his, just because he delivered a package to him and just got to know him for just a little bit. And I'll just leave it at that, but it is really worth your time. I think if you are a fan of both of those actors, or if you're a fan of Tim Robinson in general, it's definitely a good time to watch. I would initially give it a 4 out of 5. I think this is a movie that will grow on me quite a bit. I think this movie is actually going to get much better, more watches I watch it. So, for now, it's honestly teetering at a 4.5. That's how much I love it. But yeah, I definitely will recommend seeing Friendship if you've not seen it yet. Go watch it in theaters if you can. Obviously, it'll come out in physical media form sometime. And I hope that A24 actually puts out a physical disc on their own website. And speaking of that, actually, this is a good transition, because speaking of A24, so for a part of my birthday present to myself, I suppose, was getting a membership to their club. So the AAA membership, I think is what it's called, right? The AAA 24. I actually decided to, get the welcome pass, which has this little pin here, which you can kind of see. It has the 3 A's and 24. This actually just gives you discounts on various things on the A24 website. On top of, you get a magazine, you get freebies, a couple of freebies, and then you also, I think, get some movie tickets. There's quite a bit of stuff that comes with it, but I was able to get this along with their welcome card. But these always come in every time I get an A24 package. I always get something along this lines. But hey, speaking of Friendship, there they are, right? Paul Rudd and Tim Robinson. So good timing on my end. And then the other thing I got was issue number 28 of the A24 magazine that they have been doing, I guess, for 28 issues, because this membership has been going on for a few years now, and I decided finally to jump on board. But this is actually a queer companion. So the film Queer from Luca Guadagnino, that I have not seen yet, but I do plan on picking it up. It actually is on the A24 website. It's either just released or is about to. But this is The Thing of Love and Joy Forever. So it's like William S. Burroughs' kind of complimentary companion to the film itself. So, which I don't really know much about, but just flipping through the pages of this has been really, really exciting. Just to kind of get some behind the scenes things of like the actual person who wrote this book. And this entire story, and just kind of hearing the thoughts of the people involved. But yeah, this A24 package was exciting. I don't know if it's worth $10 a month, but who knows? I decided to do that and just kind of get on board with that, because I do really love A24 and their line. They're one of the best marketing companies out there, and they've only gotten bigger and bigger. Obviously, I'm a little bit of a shill for them, but I love them, and have loved them since The Witch, right back in the mid-2010s. So with that being said, now let's actually transition to some of the things that I picked up for the week. Let's actually talk about some things that came in the mail. I got these from Diabolique DVD, I believe, is actually where I got these both from. And I actually got the second film in this 4K trilogy. I actually decided to talk about the first one a few weeks back because I just picked it up. But I got Arrows for a few dollars more, which is the second in the Spaghetti Western Sergio Leone Clint Eastwood trilogy. Very, very excited to do a deep dive. I'm going to wait until The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly comes out, and then I'm going to do a deep dive on these and just jump back into them. And actually, I might watch the Kino versions as well. I still haven't seen those just yet, so comparing the two might be really interesting. So, but yeah, I'm just really excited for this. This is an amazing set. Very, very excited to have it. Actually really like the way this is set up, because I really like the cardboard that they use in this particular case in this box set. And it actually is harder to get out, but I think snug is a good thing in general. But it has a poster right here, it has a booklet like usual, and it has the 4K and Blu-ray disc that has a bunch of special features, which I'm excited to kind of dive into. So yeah, for a few dollars more, it really was for a few dollars more, because this was, definitely a hefty price to pay for a 4K, but it is one of the best films of all time, one of the best trilogies of all time. So really excited to dive into this. Now, the next film I'm going to be talking about is something that I got from 101 Films that I actually watched this morning, so I will talk about it more tomorrow, but I do want to just showcase that I picked it up in the same haul that I got for a few dollars more, and I'm talking about Ghost Watch. And so this will be something I'll be talking about very, very soon, but this is an amazing BBC television program that happened in 1992, the year of my birth. And I am just so excited to talk about this particular release. And yeah, this is a really fun watch and just a relic of its time. And just not a relic. Relic's probably the wrong word. It's probably a gem of its time, in my opinion. But yeah, we'll talk more about Ghost Watch. But I'm actually currently watching the special features on it. There's like a 45-minute making of, or at least retrospect of this film, this television program that happened that scared the entire British community, which I'm really excited to talk about. Now, the other things that I picked up were during my time when I was up in Kansas City. So I had mentioned earlier that I had went up to Kansas City to go see Baroness on their Red and Blue tour. So if you're not familiar with Baroness, they're a sludge metal turned progressive rock kind of outfit. They have some psychedelic and some stoner-like qualities. If you are familiar with bands like Mastodon or Sleep, has some of those elements. They definitely run the gamut of what they sound like. But the earlier stuff sounds a lot like early Mastodon and a lot of that sludge metal that came out of Georgia. Now, while I was there, besides getting this hat and some merch from them, I actually was able to go to a record store. I usually go to Mills Records up there, which I really love. And I actually got 2 records that came out this year that I'm really in love with, and I just can't stop spinning. Both of these records are like 2 of my favorite things this year. The first one is actually the Callous Cowboys with their newest I Don't Want to See You in Heaven. And I have not opened it yet, but I have been listening to this nonstop on YouTube and Spotify, and I'm just so ecstatic to have it. If you don't know the Callous Cowboys, check them out. They're so much fun. They are a rowdy bunch of adults, and it is just such a fun ride. Definitely recommend people check it out. If you are a fan of things like the Dillinger Escape Plan or System of a Down, that's kind of where that realm goes to. And then the next thing I got is actually a record that came out earlier in May, and this is Ghost's Skeleta. So Skeleta is the latest, LP from Ghost, which is one of my favorite Swedish rock, kind of spooky rock bands that has been a really big deal for a very long time. In fact, I actually just talked about right here, right now, the Blu-ray concert that I had just recently watched a few weeks back, and it just cemented my love of this band and going back to 2010 when I first discovered them and thinking about that time period. But they're really fun. Skeleta's really fun. There's some cowbell in here, some 80s anthem stadium rock. It just sounds so much fun. And it looks like it's got that kind of purple, translucent violet vinyl. So excited to open this up and talk about it a little bit later, probably. Now, the other things I got were actually when we went to Half Price Books, which is right next to Mills Records. And then I also was able to go to Barnes & Noble, and that was unplanned, but I guess it was a part of the Kino Lorber 50% off sale. So I did get that from Barnes & Noble, so I'll just talk about that one quick. I actually got the Lady Killers while I was up there. Something that I almost picked up when I was in the UK last year. I can't remember who put it out. I think either Studio Canal or BFI put it out, but I decided to pick up the Kino version of this. But it's got Alec Guinness, Cecil Parker, Herbert Lom, Peter Sellers, Danny Green, Jack Warner, Frankie Howard, and Katie Johnson. There's just so many people involved in this movie, and I've just heard it's a phenomenal 50s movie. So really excited to jump into this 4K and kind of explore that. Now, while I was up there, I also went to Half Price Books, and I was able to get a few things here. One, I was able to get another film from Douglas Sirk, The Tarnished Angels. So I've been a big Douglas Sirk fan, just kind of mentality, and we'll talk more about Douglas Sirk tomorrow, actually. There's a movie that we'll talk about, but excited to have this one. I'll probably be watching this very soon. It's got Rock Hudson, who is a Douglas Sirk classic cast member of his, Robert Stack and Dorothy Malone in this one. And then the other Kino Lorber release that I actually picked up at Half Price Books was a period piece, Washington Square, from 1997. This has got Jennifer Jason Leigh, Albert Finney, Ben Chaplin, and Maggie Smith. I love those characters. And don't know much about this, but this looks like a period piece, and it's something that I really love. I love period pieces, so very excited about this one. It's probably going to look gorgeous. And then the last thing I got was actually my friend who I went up to to Kansas City with. He actually found this and was like, hey, I've been wanting to watch this movie for a long time. He decided to pass on it, and he recommended me getting it. And so I did pick it up, and I got the Reflecting Skin, which is a release from I don't know who exactly. Film Movement is actually the company that put this out. and I'm very, very excited and very curious about this movie. I've heard it's a vampire film, although it looks like it's set on a rural farm. It's got Viggo Mortensen in it, Lindsay Duncan, and Jeremy Cooper. So I'm excited. I love Viggo. So, and I like vampires, and so I'm very excited about this. And I've heard it's a really great art house film. So shout out to my buddy for recommending that for me. And now let's actually transition from the things that I've been picking up to the television series that I've been watching for the past weeks. All right, so you might hear my dog in the background. He just got back in, and so he's probably going to make some noise. But let's now transition to the television series that I have been watching for the past few weeks. One that I actually have covered a little bit about, that I was raving about, and very, very excited to finally watch the entire thing. I'm talking about Blackadder, the complete almost complete collection. I think the pilot's not on here or something along those lines. But regardless, there are 4 series and some specials on here, and I was able to watch all of them. I think last time I had covered the first 2 series, which I think I had previously loved the first series a little bit more than the second. I think it got a little bit more serious, or at least Blackadder's character, as he goes out throughout the ages, is like a descendant of the same character, has been really exciting. And so in the 3rd season, series, he was able to play a more, I think it was around the 1800s type of Blackadder character, and that was a lot of fun because you got Hugh Laurie now in here, and it's shocking to see Hugh Laurie in such a role with Stephen Fry and just these, I guess, these actors that I'm really, really used to seeing in other things, but this is the stuff that they came from, which is really, really refreshing. And just to kind of see these people in kind of bumbling idiot buffoon kind of roles, while as we see Mr. Bean himself, Blackadder, Rowan Atkinson, him being more serious, as you know, his character's changed quite a bit. But season 3 was series 3. I keep saying season. I'm just used to saying that here in the States. But it is really, really fun, and just another just amazing series to jump into. But series 4 is actually where I think my heart kind of lies in, and I feel like they were kind of running out of ideas, or at least running the gambit on this entire idea of a show as they go up to World War One. And in World War One, they are actually set in the trenches. We have Rowan Atkinson's Blackadder as this incompetent, I think, lieutenant or something along those lines. I'm off when it comes to Army rankings and military rankings in general, but regardless, he is in charge of this company, and he is definitely a fool. And Stephen Fry, there's a really good bit in here about a passenger pigeon and how he raised him since he was a little bird, and Rowan Atkinson and his best friend accidentally eating him because they were starving. Man, there's just so many skits in here that in this confined space that just drives people mad, and I think it relies on that kind of comedic edge, but like, you know, in something so horrific, and in the World War One, right? Trench warfare is an awful thing, and I hope we never go back to that. However, doing this in a comedic edge is just really, really fun to kind of see these fools as they progress throughout the series as these different characters, adaptations of each other. And it's just so much fun. And, you know, I feel like each of the characters are fleshed out really, really well, and you get to know them and you adore them because of how dumb all of them are in their own special ways. And this is just such a great series. In fact, the other thing that it came with was it has a bunch of extra special features. It has a Christmas special that I was able to watch, which I believe, let's see, if we open this, there's actually a lot of discs in here. There is, you know, Blackadder Goes Forth, which is the last one. There's the Blackadder Specials, which is disc 5. It has a couple of specials there, and then it also has Blackadder Rides Again, which is a documentary on the show as they're looking back. And then these bonus features are a lot of behind the series, you know, kind of compilation of things, deleted scenes and the like, and just test footage. There's a lot of really amazing content in this. In fact, this is like one of the most comprehensive series that I have seen, like just so much love put into it. and I adored every second of watching this show. This is something that I think I'm going to go back to time and time again here in the coming years, and I think this is something that's going to be a classic in my eyes as I progress in my own life. And so right now, this solid series right here is a solid 4.5 out of 5. If I would rank it, it's something right up there with Monty Python in terms of some of my favorite British comedy. I still have not seen Fawlty Towers, which is a fault of my own, so I'll eventually watch stuff along those lines, but very much into BBC and UK television just in general. So if you have any recommendations, if some of you have been watching me for a long time, know I've been going down a lot of rabbit holes with that, so shoot me some recommendations down there. Now let's actually transition to a series that I'm going to be covering probably in the coming weeks, because this is actually a preview for tomorrow. I was able to watch the Columbia Classic set, and it was Volume 4 that had the Starman series. And Starman is one of my favorite John Carpenter films. I mean, what can you say about John Carpenter? He's got such a slew of great films, and a lot of them can be your favorite, and I totally agree with you on that. But there's actually a series that comes with this, and I'm going to be watching this very, very soon. I wasn't able to watch the series because it's very, very long. I think there's 22 episodes on here, but they're on 4K in this package, so it's very interesting. That's the extra disc that is involved in this series. So we'll talk about Starman the movie tomorrow, but we'll talk about the series in the coming weeks as I decide to watch it. Now let's actually transition to the final things that I've been watching series-wise, as I've been actually wanting to watch some anime as of late, and it's been a while since I've decided to go down an anime path. I rewatched Yu Yu Hakusho not too long ago. I just recently finished Attack on Titan, and so there are definitely some things that I enjoy in that realm, but there's a really great masterpiece that I missed, that I've had on my shelf for far too long for comfort, and I'm first talking about the 1997 series Berserk. Holy moly, this series. I actually am going to be talking about the 2016 series, which is right here in my hand here in a bit, but let's first talk about this first series from 97. So this is an amazing masterpiece of a anime that I had been missing in my life, and I didn't know what to expect. So we have Guts, who's our main character, who joins the Band of the Hawk, this mercenary group led by Griffith, who is his best friend. Eventually that will turn a little bit, and you'll see what happens exactly, especially towards the end of this series. But it is really just about friendship in that group of people who just love fighting. And I love as they go through each battle and a lot of just different adversity to get to the point where you get to at the end of this whole series, which makes it so worth it. But it's also incredibly messed up. And I definitely will recommend, if anyone hasn't seen this series at all, fair bit of warning. There is some gratuitous and mature kind of content that you wouldn't be used to in an anime unless you watch those kinds of things in anime, which I'm not used to as much. But I really, really loved the direction this went, and I was really shocked by the way it ended. This is a 5 out of 5. This is a series that I will be watching down the line for some time now. But yeah, I'm not going to give anything away, but this is a great series. It's a really great fighting anime that I just really, really adore. If you like swords and sandals and medieval type of stuff, definitely check it out. And also, I've looked into the manga just a little bit, and I just love the artwork. And I know the artwork is very different from the styles that we'll talk about with this 2016 series and the 1997 series, but regardless, I love each of the forms for the various different reasons. But speaking of forms, and to a much lesser extent, let's now talk about the 2016 series, which is, albeit visually this is a very appalling type of work. I do not like the animation. It's 3D animation, but it's continuing the story from what we had just watched in the 1997 series. It kind of just picks up a little bit after, I think a couple years after, and we see Guts really defeated and definitely on his laurels, trying to make sense of what just happened. It is an interesting anime. I really do enjoy some of the nodes and directions that it goes in involving the story itself. It definitely delves deeper into the fantasy aspect of it and delves deeper into more of the mythical side of it, whereas the first series is definitely more medieval and more grounded in almost like a human reality of sorts with some dark magic undertones. This is very, very overt. There's fairies, there's witchcraft, there's witches, occultists, things like that, demons, you name it, trolls, ogres, all sorts of things involved in this series now. But again, the animation is it's so off-putting. So if you do not like the animation in this, I completely understand, because it is jarring. It is a jarring transition here. However, I still enjoyed the story, and I still would enjoy more of this stuff. I know that there is a third series that just came out not too long ago, and there's also some movies I gotta watch. So I am behind on Berserk, but this series right here, I would give a 3 out of 5. There are some things that I definitely enjoy about it, but there's definitely a lot of things that I do not enjoy about it. It's very sporadic. The animation is wild. I'm kind of talking about this ad nauseum, but with that being said, that's kind of what I've been doing for the past few weeks in terms of television. I've been having a lot of fun with Blackadder, and I went the complete opposite direction with the Berserk shows, getting really mature and serious and bloody and a little sexy and a little, there's a little bit of something in there. But with that all being said, I hope you enjoyed this video. Be sure to comment down below what you've been checking out, and I will see you tomorrow as we talk about some films, and thank you so much for watching. I'm not jonesing around.